Here we go. So once again, this is the Roman Rudin's story hour, it would seem. So we're reading stories from The Strange Occurrence in the Region of the Heart, and today it's The Emperor's Palace by Roman Rudin. I'll leave it here for a moment or two, so hopefully that appears as the main picture for YouTube. Let's flick over to the words that we'll be looking at then. The Emperor's Palace by Roman Rudin. Okay, so Michael, did you read this first section to start with previously, or would
No,
you like to read the
no,
first section?
no.
Okay. Do you want to read the whole of what's on both sides, on the left and the right? Is that okay?
Okay.
It's quite a bit, so stop if you want to, and I could carry on, but over to you then.
Listen, said Wei Xuan to me. I wrote this today. Snow on a birch tree, amid stripes and black branches, there hides a white tiger. I could not get Wei Xuan to stop passing off poems by court poets at his own. From time to time, one of us was invented to an audience with the emperor to read one of our works. For a number of reasons, I concluded that there were a few of us court poets. The place was huge. I lived in its I lived in its eastern part, and any time that I tried to make my way into a neighboring area, my path was barred by walls of fires guards. I was forbidden to have paper, to leave the palace, to breed pigeons, and to loathe, loathe the emperor. Therefore, I allowed wasps to build nests around my windows. Oh, therefore, I allowed wasps to build nests around my windows. All the walls of the room that I inhabited were covered with drawings within which I concealed my real treasures from the emperor. And every night I broke out of the place in my dreams. He knew that if I had the chance, I, I would kill him. But he only laughed at me and read lines from my white tiger. Of course, there were other prisoners. They were also forbidden to have paper, and they also hated Wei Xuan as I did. Probably they had invented a means of drawing or sketching their innermost secrets, and I did not doubt that the emperor had long ago decoded their cryptography. For among the wreckage of his own works, which he showered, which he showered down upon me at each of our meetings. I was struck from time to time by real nuggets of gold, and I stored these away together with my own.
I
Each
thought
time, okay,
no, we could stop there. Okay. I thought it was really very good, very good. I really like that. I think you probably read it better than I did, to be honest. Bits of that, I thought but seriously, you really got the meaning out. You really brought the meaning out, I thought. It's very easy to accidentally hide the meaning by the way that we say things, I think, when we're reading a story. But I thought that was fantastic. So anything you want to ask about that or talk about?
uh,
Any words there?
about pronunciation,
Hmm.
yes, I remember the
Yeah, I know.
second part.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
second part, yeah,
Was it showered? I like
yeah,
that because you said it. I'd say you were spot on. I forgot where it was now. Showered. Yeah, this is here. That was fantastic. Yeah, shower. You had it. You had it. Do you want to say it again? Showered.
showered. showered,
Yeah, I
sh
think you were better when you read it out actually. Um, so if you miss off the ed for a
showered,
moment,
shower,
so shower, yeah, shower.
shower,
That's right.
shower,
And if you put the ed on the end, it just makes it a sort of a duh sound. So trying to say that.
showered, showered,
Mhm. I think your R is just a bit too heavy on the end there. I noticed that a few of the words you were saying when you said the word emperor, your R's, especially at the end, is just a bit too strong. For the British people, we don't really say the R's are a bit dead, especially at the end of a word, if not entirely dead. Remember we were saying about the schwa sound. The OR here really is a schwa, so it's sort of an sound. So emperor, bit of a cough there.
emperor,
Emperor.
emperor,
That's the British
emperor,
way, yeah. And you're sort of saying it a little bit the American way, I would say. That's okay, of course, but yeah. And you're doing the same thing with the showered. So the ER again, it's exactly the same as the OR in emperor. It's the uh, sound. So shower, shower. And do you want to try that again? So perhaps do whichever one you want. So shower or showered, showered. So over to you, that one.
showered, showered,
Yeah.
showered,
Okay. And maybe your W, you're sort of, I can sort of almost hear a W sound when you're saying it. Um, but I think with us Brits again, when we see the O and the W together, I think we're sort of saying like an ow. Like when you hit your toe on the bed or something in the morning, it's ow. I think that's pretty much what we're saying there. So, sh, sh, show, showered,
shower,
showered.
shower, shower,
I think you're opening your mouth too much, and you're seeing a W, and I think it's what it sounds like. So let me just say shower. Let me just say shower, maybe. So shower, shower.
shower,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
shower,
Yeah, I think you're getting it. You're a little bit too strong on the sort of the W in the R, maybe, but as long as you sort of know that, that's okay. I think you'll get it in time, I think. Oh, this is Federica. Let me just let Federica in. Okay. So yeah, we'll come back to that one maybe. So shower, shower, right there. I have a bit of a cough today, so I'm going to cough every so often. So do excuse me. So hello, Federica, if you can hear me.
Yes, sure. Hello.
Oh, great. Okay. Is this your first time here? Because we previously had a Federica, and so I don't quite know who is who.
No, no, that's my first time.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So it's not the old Federica come back again. That's okay. Well, welcome. We've already started. It's okay to come late. In fact, there's somebody else who's coming in about 10, 20 minutes. They said they'd be late too. So we'll probably just carry on longer than the hour. So you'll probably get an hour, Federica. And Michael, stay as long as you want. And there's a chap called Ruslan, hopefully be coming later too. Okay. So we're reading this story here. It's called The Emperor's Palace. And it's only literally this page and one over the page. We'll just turn over. Oh, and there's a little bit on the end too. And that's the whole of the story we're looking at. It's a short, very, very short story. But it's written by an author. He seems to write in a somewhat cryptic way. So the story isn't very easily understood on one reading, I would suggest. Maybe that's the best way to write that. I don't know. Um, okay, so Michael has just read what's on the screen on the whole, and we're just looking at some of the words. So the one so we just done showered over here, looked at that one, but one word I did notice was the name of this type of tree. So snow on a birch tree. So just the way you said birch, do you want to say birch again for me, Michael? So birch.
birch,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
birch.
yeah, you've got it. Yeah, you've got it. Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. Very good. um so any other words that you noticed, Michael, you want to go back over again? So we've done showered. We looked at emperor a little bit.
Uh, maybe ing, neighboring, neighboring
Oh,
at
the
the end.
neighboring areas. Yeah, okay. So that's this word here. So is it the ing you just said to me, was it? The ing bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I,
That's a
tra
bit
I
tricky.
trained I trained pronunciation NG.
Are you? You've been training yourself. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Um, I did notice there's another word here somewhere. It was the word amongst or among. So if I just typed that up here, I can't think which one it was. So can I spell the word correctly? So that this is an English word amongst. When something is inside something else, you can say it's among something. And you see there's an NG there. And when you said this word, your pronunciation was just absolutely spot on. So yeah, I really heard your practicing is really working out, I think. So that was good. Well done. But sometimes when the sound is in the middle of the word, we end up sort of saying it differently to how it is at the very end of a word. So NG there's a bit sort of hidden in the middle of the word. When it's at the end of at the end of a word, like passing, the sound comes out a little bit differently. And so, but you think your neighboring was a tricky one. Do you want to just say neighboring now? So neighboring.
Neighboring.
Yeah. Yeah, all I'm hearing as if it just ends on the letter N. That's all I'm hearing, like Rin, neighbor Rin. Yeah, okay. It is a bit tricky. So let's think. Um, so so ing is incredibly common in the English language. It's obviously been the ending of a word. It's the present tense, isn't it? So a few of the other words are, of course, talking. The classic ones I bring up are talking, walking, singing maybe. So with the word singing, you've got it as sing, has ing on it, and then it has it again on the end when we put it into the present tense, I suppose. So
Singing.
singing, yeah, singing.
Singing.
So what I'm hearing there, I'm when you say that, I'm hearing sin in. That's what I'm hearing. Sin in, sin in. So I'm still not quite hearing the ng bit. So, do you remember how it? What can you describe to me what the NG sound is in particular? How we make it, and how it's sort of different from the N sound on its own? Do you remember?
Uh,
So N is different from NG.
yeah, my
Hmm.
tongue, I
Hmm.
up tongue and touched my palate.
Palette. That's it. Yes. Yes. That's it. Yeah.
Palate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly. Exactly.
tongue.
Yeah. So
Mm.
with both of these sounds,
Singing.
that's it. Yeah. That's it. We have to lift our tongue up. But with the N, we lift the tongue up at the front, so the tip of the tongue sort of touches the roof of your mouth and it blocks the air coming out. And the air comes out of your nose out of your nose. And if you have a cold, some words sound a bit funny as a result. But with the NG, you lift your tongue up at the back, which is a bit odd because we don't feel we have control of the tongue at the back, but we do. So but the Oriental people have no trouble with this sound whatsoever. It's very common. Um, and of course, the other one I use is this name. There's a chap I met well, known a little while, but I saw him at Christmas, at the Christmas meal we just had. And so he's got an N, which is at you lift the tongue at the front, and at the end of his name, this is his first name, have to lift the tongue at the back. So this name here, I would say, is pronounced as Ning, Ning, Ning. Do you want to give that a go? Ning, Michael?
Nin. Nin.
I'm hearing that. Nin. It's pretty much this. There's a slight element of of the correct pronunciation. So if I was to say this word here in blue, this is nin, nin,
Nin. Nin.
nin. Yeah, that's
Nin.
that sounds good. But go over to this one over here. So ning, ning, ning. Can I try again?
Nin.
Ah, that really sounded like it. That was good. Ning, ning.
Nin.
Yes,
Nin.
yes. Yeah, you're really getting it. That's good. Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, can you put that up in a word here? Maybe let's not do singing. Just do sing, sing, sing.
Sing.
Oh,
Sing.
Yes, yes, that's it. That's it. You're overdoing it a little bit, but that's okay because we're practicing. So that's it. That's fantastic. That's really good. Sing, sing, and again, sing.
Sing,
Ooh, that was a bit.
sing,
I could hear this one
sing.
then. I can hear this down here now. You're doing this one now. Okay. Try a different sound. This word doesn't really exist in a way, but we have this sound at the end of a lot of words. This we have this sort of sound. So ting, ting. Can you try that sound? Ting or word.
Ting, ting,
Yes, that's it. That's it.
ting.
Ting. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Maybe another one. Let's do King. So this is king, and again, obviously, this is the monarch, someone who rules a country. But also, we have this word at the end of lots of, such as talking. So at the end of talking, we have the word king, don't we? So if you get these three words, sing, ting, and king, that's really a lot of ings how they sound really. So do you want to do king, king?
King, king.
Ah, with that one, I'm hearing more kin, but you're in between the middle, I would say. So it's a harder one, I think. So king, king. Try again.
King.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's you're getting there. I think your best one was ting just now. That was your best one. That was good. And maybe so. I've made up these sort of three sort of sounds or three words. Another one would be, I suppose, ring. Because obviously neighbouring has has this ing here, and so I got up this word over here. So passing, so it ends this sing, which is what we're doing: sing, ting, king, and ring. Okay, so do you want to give ring a go?
Ring.
And again,
Ring.
yeah, 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 yeah that's about halfway, I'd say. Yeah, ring, ring, yeah, ring.
Ring.
Oh, that wasn't so good, but it's tricky. It's tricky. You'll get there eventually, I'm sure. There was something else I wanted to do. Ring, ring, ring. I've forgotten already. Okay. Maybe we'll come back to this at the end because when we do
Okay,
something
okay.
that's just continuously for hours and hours and hours, you end up going a bit. Everyone goes blank. Even I go blank. So okay. So that was good. Oh, there was something. Oh, I know what. I tell you what we'll do is again is So, but not just yet. So we're thinking about there's the word ink. We'll come back to this. No, won't do it now. But the NK sound, there's a sort of similarity between the NK, and this is obviously the word ink, and most people can
Ink.
say ink,
Ink.
and this NG
Ink.
business. But to
Ink.
get the K, you're sort of having to lift your tongue at the back as well, and you do that sudden sort of a ink. You sort of suddenly let it burst out. People seem to be able to do that one. That sound quite well. So we'll come back to that if we remember at the end anyway. So, um, oh, the other one was this is an unusual word. We looked at it last time, I think, didn't we? So, do you want to give that one another go? I think you're pretty good. Actually, thinking about it, you had two or three goes at it, and the very last one was spot on. So, but can you remember what you did now with that one there?
Loath.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much it. So if I read that half a line from to down to emperor. So to breed pigeons and to loathe the emperor. To breed pigeons and to loathe the emperor. Do you want to read that little bit again from to emperor again?
To breed pigeons and to loathe the emperor.
Oh, that's spot on. That is absolutely that is it. Yeah, I mean that is. Do you want to take the next class? Do you want to lead the next class? Because that was very good. Yeah, very good. Very good. Oh dear. Um, any other words there that struck you want to go back over again? So we've done looked at ing. That's quite tricky. Wreckage. Your cryptography was absolutely spot on. Yeah, I've got nothing to say about that other than praise. Very good. Very good. Um,
No, I think
So the word palace is two or three times here, but I think you said place. Every time you saw it, it says
maybe
place. So you missed out that A sort of a
palace.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
palace.
assume you're not wearing your glasses today, maybe. So, um, maybe the word. So we looked at loathe. So maybe the word a couple of lines up. So there's I think when you said this word, it didn't come out quite right. So do you want to say those two or three words that are just there? Those two or three words there.
Or fires guards.
Ah, yeah. So this one here is fierce. Fierce.
Fierce,
Yeah.
fierce,
I think it
fierce
come.
guards.
I assume it comes from fear, as in I'm fearful of something. I think it comes from fear. Having you're fearful of dying or something. So yeah. So fierce. But you might also say a fire is very fierce. If there's a very bad fire, something's burning down, maybe. You might say the fire was very fierce. And that's a way it's saying it was very strong, very powerful, very hot. But a lot of different things can be fierce as well, of course. It's that idea of being fierce. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed that reading. You really, I thought you brought out some of the meanings of some of those paragraphs really well, with the way you've said it. Very good. And considering I just dumped this on you without really any practice, that was brilliant. Let me just check who is here because I've forgotten already. Ah, yes, Federica. Do you have any questions at all, Federica? We've just looked at this, what's on the page here now.
Not really.
Okay, all right, okay. Oh dear. You sound very confident then. But do you feel okay about reading a little bit of this here now then? We sort of finished at the word own, where my cursor is now. Do you fancy reading this little bit at the bottom here, and then we'll turn the page over and we can
Yeah,
practice?
sure. Each time we met, he attached a particular expression to his face, as though he had donned a mask, and even the court ladies who sat beside him, smiling and telling him jokes,
And I've just turned over. Yeah.
in a language unknown to me, could not crack that mask.
Do you want to carry on a little bit more?
Sorry, see again?
Do you want to carry on a little bit further?
Yeah, sure. I imagined how they laughed over my torset. Liu Min, who I heard cultivated decorative plants in her garden. Kidzi, who was a master of the potter's wheel, and a third to whom I had not yet given a name. Perhaps there were others, but by all appearances they had given up of escaping from the palace, taking with them what they had hidden from the emperor. Um, Presumably, in the former time, the hieroglyphic writing of Japan in China arose this way, and that of all the despotic Asiatic empires from whence the unknown inhabitants of these polos came. And probably then there existed an emperor who, like Hui Xuan, was the cause of the appearance of writing among initiates, in which one symbol unites both wasps and tigers living together in one palace without noticing each other. Decades have passed since I found myself among their numbers. If I had wanted to, I could have escaped. Since the very beginning, I knew that means and he knew that I knew, but I preferred to stay here because when my first chance came to escape from this gilded cage, I had already devised my own written language and hoped that there would still be further chances to escape. And now, thanks to absent guards, I remain alone before an open door that lets out of the eye wall that surround the palace. The palace.
Okay, okay. Well, we'll stop you there.
Yeah,
So
sure.
this paragraph goes over the page, so we'll have to leave it at that point. It's a convenient point to start. So what did you think of that there? Any words there you want to go back over again? Any comments about that? Any difficult words?
Yeah. Yeah, I have just to catch up. So for example, uh, gilded cage. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, you say yeah. When you read it out first of all, it didn't sound quite right, but you
Yeah,
have it now. That's it. Yes, gilded. Yes, gilded.
gilded cage. Yeah.
Do you know what it means, the word gilded?
Not really.
So if something's gilded, it means it's covered in gold. It's covered in,
Okay. Okay.
but basically a very thin layer of gold. So it's not solid gold. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Just
effectively
a
the
thin
color of
layer.
gold, you might say. That's it.
Okay. Totally right.
Anything?
And mm, maybe another one, but don't. Mm. Uh, Glyphic, maybe it's the right
Yes. So
pronunciation.
that's yes. So you saw you were pretty much spot on when you pronounced it. Do you have an idea what it might mean and how to say it? Because you're almost there.
The meaning, yeah, I know the meaning in Italian for sure, but I don't
Oh,
be able to, yeah, translate this in English because it is
okay.
like written on the stone, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? So
Okay,
hi-
perfect.
well, let me just tap the word up here first of all, down past Ning. So if something is hieroglyphic, so that's how it's pronounced, hieroglyphic right here. Um,
Hieroglyphic.
you
Yeah.
can say it's in the style of hieroglyphs.
Okay.
So, because it has this IC on the end, it's sort of that type. So it's not saying these are hieroglyphics. It's saying it's something like hieroglyphics. That's my interpretation. So, okay, hieroglyphic. So, and they're saying over here with this on the dictionary definition, they're saying it's sort of slightly enigmatic. So, traditionally, the hieroglyphs are sort of hard to understand or perhaps even mystical. Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah.
So so in Egypt you have hieroglyphs. They're actually called that's the Egyptian writing or the symbols or pictograms. They're often referred to as hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely.
But putting IC on the end, with that ending, it sort of changes the meaning a little bit. So it's not exactly we're not
Yeah,
exactly
it is
talking about
the
Egyptian letters.
corresponding adjective, right?
So say again, sorry.
So hieroglyphic is
Yeah.
the corresponding adjective of hieroglyphics,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's right. Yes, it is related. Yes, isn't it? Yes, a corresponding one. Yes. Yep, you're right there. I think. Yeah, you have it there. Um, in that same paragraph, few lines further down, there's this word here. Are you
Yeah,
okay with
a little
this?
bit tricky.
Do you know what it means? Have an idea? Can you guess it,
Yeah,
perhaps?
the naive people, so the initiated people that start how to do something, maybe.
I think I'm just missing you. So, if you're an initiate, did you say it's the first people? First people. I think that's what you were saying. So, if you're an initiate in something, and this is plural, it means you're the first.
Yeah,
You're the first people. And sometimes you might be an initiate into a religion. So you're not the first person ever to go into the religion. It just
okay.
means that maybe you're starting in that religion or something. Let's say the Catholic religion or something, perhaps. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know quite what they're talking about here exactly. I don't remember now. How about these two words here? This is okay for you? So
Despotic, Asiatic empires. Yeah,
can you say them again? I'm just missing you. So despotic and what's the other ones?
despotic Asiatic empires.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, yes. Despotic Asiatic empires. And so what does that mean? Any idea? I'm sure you probably have a good idea.
Yeah, there is a sort of monarchy in which the king is very harsh and so very bad rules for the population. So despotic Asiatic empires as a kind of empires and victories. I think that it is very evil and harsh and regional as well, I believe.
I missed a little bit about region. So which region is this in particular? So where my cursor is, that's
Asia.
Asia. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Asiatic. He's not saying exactly, but that's it. Good. So anything you want to ask about there? Anything else that struck you? We'll go back to the first paragraph in a moment, maybe.
Yeah, maybe yes.
I'll turn over then. Is that what you're saying? I'll turn over. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There we go back.
Just
So, oh,
for the
just those
last
few
part.
letters there, wasn't it? Few
Yeah.
words there.
I don't mask. No, no, everything is okay.
Great. Okay. When you said donned, you're saying it. Could you just say it again? So that was good, actually. So donned a mask. Can you just say it
Yeah,
again?
don't mask.
Yeah, that's good. But what does it mean, donned a mask?
Just gift.
Uh,
It's
uh,
just like a gift. So I
mm,
don't it.
a, a gift.
Sort of.
There is an idea of that, but it's quite weak. I would say if you don something, you can say you're putting it on. It might be it might be some clothing you just put on quickly, perhaps, if you don something. Let's open the dictionary up if it opens up here. Oh, so it's the Don River in Russia. That's true.
Okay.
A river in Scotland. No, that's not quite the word, is it? So in the past tense, so it just means just putting something on. And in this sense, he's putting a mask on, but it's a sort of a metaphorical mask or a character or a certain, not character, but expression, wasn't it? You think he said? Oh, yeah, there is that expression. So he's just putting an expression on his face. He's wearing an expression.
Okay, okay,
That's
clear.
the idea. So not clothes, but you could often it would be clothes, you might say. But you being sort of slightly poetic, he's using it in a poetic way.
Yeah, because I thought about genre, so but it is completely different. So don't is like put on and wear something. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. I noticed pretty much everywhere where there was a th,
Mm-hmm.
you often sort of said, I think perhaps not this one, but some of them you said it has as a d sound, as like a
Yeah,
d.
as though
So well, so this word here I would pronounce as though.
do.
Oh, hold on. So let me. So first of all, say hello, Ruslan. I think you've just come in. Well, 10 to 15 minutes ago, I think you came in. So let me just welcome Ruslan. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Tony. Hello, everyone.
I
Yeah,
got your message saying you're a few minutes late. That's great. It's okay. It's okay to be late. I mean, I was late once,
yeah.
and I'm
Okay.
starting the
Sorry,
class.
sorry about it. Yeah, sorry.
It's perfectly okay. Work is work, and you also had um, other things
Mhm.
coming up in your life, as we all do. So that's what we're thinking about anyway. So I'll pronounce this as though. But what I'm hearing when you were reading is this word.
Yeah,
So this is dough. I say both of them. So though, and now dough. Do they sound the same to you, Federica?
yeah.
Oh, they
It's right.
do. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, that's a problem. Another word I noticed was so this is other, but I
Yeah,
heard it. I heard uh, something like that. No, that's not. Not what I heard was this. Ah, that's what I heard. Yes, udder.
other. Yeah,
So I say both of these for you. Other, other, and udder. Do they sound
yeah,
different to you? Udder?
yeah. Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So, but I think every single time there was a th sound, th, you sort basically pronounce it as a d.
yeah,
There
yeah.
may be some other
It's
places
right.
where different sounds, and a lot of people do that. So with the th sound, it's very common in English, and it isn't in Italian at all, of course.
No.
I don't think it's even in Latin or Greek. It might be in Greek actually. I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, although it is actually in Arabic. Do you speak Arabic? Well, if you spoke Arabic, you'd probably using it now, wouldn't you? So that so in English, there's two ways of pronouncing that, and actually they're both in Arabic. So if you have any Arabic friends, ask them to help you with this th sound. They
Yeah,
may know.
sure.
Okay, so with th, to get the sound, and it's really wherever you see the th, like 99.9% of the time. What you have to do is you either touch the back of your teeth with your tongue
Yeah,
and then sort of let the air, you blow air along your tongue so that the air hits the back of your teeth, and that's what gives that particular sound. And
yeah,
another way of doing it is to put your tongue out between both sets of teeth. So you're sticking your tongue out very, very slightly, as if you're going to bite off the tip of your tongue with your teeth. But obviously you're not doing that.
yeah,
So just put the tip of your tongue out, and then once again, just gently sort of blow along your tongue. That's how you get the TH sound. So if I just make the T, try to make the TH sound now on its own, it's this, and I'll do it now with my tongue against the teeth, etc. So I'm a bit bubbly.
yeah, yeah,
And it's not really a
yeah,
D sound, is it? But I can see it's
yeah,
not too far from a D sound because your tongue goes in similar place. But so duh, 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 but sounds like I'm strangling myself, perhaps. So
yeah,
can you give that a go? You can either touch the back of your teeth with your tongue, the top set of teeth, not the bottom set, but the top set of teeth. And so
yeah,
what happens is the air blows along and hits those teeth and sort of rustles around a bit, making that particular sound. So do you want to give that a go?
yeah, I can try. Other, other.
Yeah, I think there's a definite difference, isn't it? I can hear you at halfway. I think you're halfway between the two, I would say.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, Maybe just try the actual TH bit if you're confident enough to do that. So, or maybe probably the best way to do it when you're starting out, I think the best way is actually to put your tongue outside.
yeah,
And when you get more confident, you just sort of we often have to speak quite quickly.
yeah,
It's easier to pull your tongue in and just hit the back of your teeth. It's essentially the same sound. So maybe for practicing, just put the tip of your tongue just outside between both sets of teeth.
yeah. Other, other.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds spot on. Yes. Other. Yeah, other. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's great. Well done. Well done. And there are actually two types of the
Yeah,
TH sound. It's complicated and it probably won't help to go into it now. But maybe if I just mention they exist. So we just had the word loathe, and the th is here. And I'm
yeah,
sort of saying the on the
yeah,
end. Am I saying the? Loathe, the. I suppose I'm saying the on the end. Loathe, loathe. So
yeah,
but I'm sort of overdoing the slightly. Because there's another word which is very similar, and that's loath. So there's no E on
yeah,
the end here. But it's interesting because they're two different, they're related, but are different
yeah,
sounds as well. And so it's nice to know both of them. So if you loathe someone or something, it means you hate them or that thing. And in our story, it's that this person hates the emperor because he's a prisoner.
yeah,
But if you're loath to do something, it means you don't want to do something. It might be because you hate it.
yeah,
And that's probably why the words are related. So do you want to give those words a go? It's a bit tricky. So
yeah.
loathe.
Loads, loads,
Yeah, that's good.
loads,
And maybe
and
the bottom one, so loath.
loaf, loaf.
Yeah. That sounds convincing, actually. Yeah. Obviously, you would probably want to do more practicing.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe write down to practice this in a 1 or 2 hours time. Otherwise, we just forget it, don't we? So
Yeah,
perhaps write that
definitely.
down as a little note to yourself. Maybe these words in particular, or perhaps not though and do because they're a little bit harder. Maybe this the udder,
Um,
other and udder. So I wrote down udder because this is a real word, and in English anyway. I think it's actually German. Oh, it doesn't matter. So cows have udders. When cows are giving milk, perhaps for your breakfast in the morning, if you have milk on your breakfast, you get cows, you milk a cow with its udders to get the milk out of the cow. Does that
Yeah,
make sense? I didn't explain that very
yeah,
well. So is
yeah.
the cow's
It's clear. Yeah,
udders is
yeah,
where the milk comes out of. I don't know why I'm
yeah,
struggling so
yeah.
much.
It's clear.
Okay, okay. So we'll leave that for the moment there because we don't go too much into any one little detail. But if you want to come back next time and ask me more about that, please do, and we go a little bit further, practice that a little bit further, because that was the oh, that was something I noticed. Pretty every single line, there was pretty much a th word, and it was a bit tricky for you. So that is very worthwhile trying to get that spot on if you can.
Yeah, yeah, I believe so.
Okay, but and finally, we'll end this here with you, perhaps if that's okay, and then I'll have to go on to Ruslan. There was one place where the word. Let me just type it out because I can't find it where it is. So it was the word from memory. It was the word this word here. Can you say this word? That's in blue, Federica.
Yeah, sure. Ear,
And again?
ear.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, I think you sort of missed out the H when you were saying it in the text you were reading out, and it just sounded like ear. Um, I would say that for an English, if you want the English accent, I think you're overdoing the R in on the end here.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, there's an R here, of course, and in other. See, at the end, I'm not really pronouncing an ER at the end of these words, or in other either.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know this? Do you know by any chance the sound I'm making?
yeah.
Oh, do you know what the sound is? Can you give it a name? We just said it with Michael Strange, I think, before he came in. But
Sorry.
so this ER sound in English has a particular name. Do you know it? Because I thought you sort of felt that you knew the name of the sound, but no.
No, no, not really. No, no, I
Okay,
don't know.
so it doesn't really matter. So well, almost wherever there's an ER, we don't really pronounce the E and we don't really pronounce the R in English. We sort of say those two letters as uh, uh.
Yeah.
So it is not really an E, is not really an R. I think of it as I don't know, as a let me just write this down. So sofa, have I spelled it correctly? Yes, I have. So sofa. So that at the end, that sounds like that's sort of the ER sound. I know it's an A, but that A is this sort of ER sound that I'm talking about. Do you want to just say this word for me here? Sofa on the screen, sofa.
Yeah, sofa.
Yeah, that's spot on. So this sound on the end there, that's the sound you want on the end of udder or
Other.
other. Yeah. So sofa, sofa, uh. And it's this pretty, it's not exactly the same here, but I forgot what I was trying to say now. I think you're just overcooking the R sound on the end. That's what I was trying to say, I think. Because the Americans sort of give a heavy pronunciation to wherever they see an R.
VR.
And you sound slightly American. That's what I was trying to get at. I was trying to not to avoid saying that, but there's nothing wrong with having an American accent. But I was saying if you want a sort of British accent, that's something to bear in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks very much, Federica. Hope that was
Thank you
useful.
too. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
so you can stay as long as you want, or you can go now if you want. And Michael, if you want, you can go. But it's now Ruslan's go. And so now you've read some of the story already, Ruslan, I know. And we just read
Yeah,
most of it. Which bit haven't you read so far? So there's this page here, and there's the first one, and that's pretty much the whole story. Which
yeah,
one do you
I'm
fancy
not
read?
sure. Probably, yeah, let's read from the beginning.
Okay, yes.
I
Okay.
think so because I remember 100% that I read last part of this story, but I'm
Okay.
not sure about the first part.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Over to you.
about okay, the Emperor's Palace. Listen, said Wei Shine to me.
Mhm.
I wrote this today. Snow on a birch tree, aimed stripes and black branches. There hits a white tiger. I could not be shy to stop passing off poems by court poets as his own. For time to time, one of us was invited to an audience with the emperor to read one of our works. For a number of reasons, I concluded that there were a few of us court poets. The palace was huge. I lived in its eastern part, and any time that I had to make my way into a neighboring area, my path was barred by walls of fierce guards. I was forbidden to have a paper, to leave the palace, to breed pigeons, and to lose the emperor. Therefore, I allowed wasps to build nets around my windows. All the walls of the room that I inhabited were covered with drawings with which I uh, concealed my real treasures from the emperor, and every night I broke out of the palace in my dreams. I knew that if I had the chance I would kill him, but he only laughed at me and real lines from my white tiger. Of course, there were other prisoners. They were also forbidden to have a paper, and they also hated we shine as I did. Probably they had invited a means of drawing or sketching their inner, innermost secret, and I didn't doubt that the emperor had long ago decoded their cryptography for among the re- wreckage of his own works, which he showered down up me at each of our meetings. I was struck from time to time by real uh, nuggets, by real nuggets of gold, and I stored these away together with my own.
Mm. Mm. Yes, very good. That is very good, actually. Well done.
Yeah, and
How was
then
that?
I felt that I need more air, because yeah, I need
More
more
air.
practice. Yeah, more air. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
You feel like you're suffocating a little bit there. Yeah,
Yeah, because
it's a long thing to read, isn't it?
yeah, and there is not easy words,
Yeah.
to
Mm.
pronounce. Yeah, it is difficult because they are longer.
I thought you did very well. Your cryptography was very good. I suppose we know about crypto. Crypto is money, don't we? Crypto, and
Yeah,
cryptography was very
cryptography.
good. Yeah, yeah. And like this top line up here, so you're inhabited. I was very impressed with that. And covered is a word which a lot everyone has tripped up with so far, I would say. But you just said it very well. The ed ending trips people up, but you had it very well, I thought. Covered, covered. Um, but I think you tripped up on this word. It's similar sort of ending, sounded ending here. So maybe this one.
Mm.
So showered, showered.
Yeah, thought that I thought that it is probably like a show, and yeah, it is actually shower, yeah, from
Yeah,
showered down.
um, in a way, it is about show.
Yeah,
When someone shows you something, let me show you this
yeah.
picture or this
Hmm.
book, and I think it is something like that, really, to my mind, because he's showering down on him words. It's not water. It's words and ideas.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
show people ideas, I suppose so it's between the two. It's a fascinating idea, though. Yes. Yeah, but it's the same word between having a shower in the bath, that sort of
yeah,
thing, and
yeah,
yeah, so yeah, that's it's the same idea. So it's fascinating. I like how you got the nuggets of
yeah.
gold.
Nuggets.
That was good. I like that. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. Yeah, new girl. Um, yeah, I was impressed to be honest. That was good. I like that.
How about the words for among the wreckage?
Yes, yeah, I liked your
Because I
among.
forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think when you read it out, you have it. So the W is silent.
yeah,
Wreckage. So if something's
wreckage.
damaged, that's it.
Yes,
If you have a car crash and your car is just
yes,
smashed to bits in a car crash, you can say it's wreckage. What's left on the road afterwards is just wreckage. It's just so a wreck and a wreckage is the
yeah.
same, really.
As well, probably we can say that some part of something, yeah, broke, and we can say wreckage. This or no?
Yes. Yeah, the
Yeah,
bits that's left over. If say if you break something and a bit falls on the floor, oh, there's a bit of wreckage
yeah,
down
yeah.
here. But wreckage, that's
Hmm.
probably overdoing it a little bit. Normally, we think about perhaps if a car is broken or if a plane crashes, we often talk about the wreckage of the plane on the ground. That's what we often talk about. But if I break a pencil in half, I don't really say
Yeah.
and drop it on the floor. Oh, there's the wreckage of my pencil.
Ah,
That's overcooking it. That's just too much. If it was the size of an aircraft or a car, yeah, we might say, yeah, it's
yeah.
yeah. If you're being funny,
Okay.
you might use it there. But here, when he says wreckage on the screen, he's really talking about this is these ideas, and it's the wreckage of his ideas. He's saying it, which is quite an interesting way of talking. So, but I think part of the idea is that so the emperor is talking away and saying things. Most of it, I think, what the emperor is saying is a bit like wreckage because it's the broken up bits, the damaged bits that the
Mm,
emperor has heard from the other prisoners, the other clever prisoners who are giving him poetry and clever things to say. Does that make sense? And those
yeah.
clever bits, the good bits, are the nuggets of gold, aren't they? The clever bits that he
Hmm.
hears. But most of what the emperor says, I guess, is sort of wreckage, a bit like rubbish, really. But there is gold in amongst the rubbish, which is true
Hmm.
in general, isn't it? That's the idea, I
Hmm.
think. I think you have that, I think,
Hmm.
hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, it is really describe it in a very clever way. Yeah,
Yes, that's it. It's a clever and interesting way. It
yeah,
it makes you think about
interesting.
it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I like this. You know what? He showered down upon me. You know,
mm,
it is as well. I
yeah,
like this. Yeah.
yeah. The idea of that
It,
is fascinating, isn't
yeah,
it? It's
but
really,
in simple words, can I say, for example, he told me, or
yeah,
yeah, in a
yeah.
simple, very simple,
In a simple way, yes. He told
yeah,
me, or he said to
yes.
me.
He said to me, yeah,
Yeah, that's it. But showered,
shower.
yeah, yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It
I
is
suppose
probably
also,
showered means like more information, like some bug, some bug, some package of information. Yeah,
yes,
he put it on a head. Yeah, and yeah,
yeah.
it's look like this for me.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's it, I think. So, yeah, so I think what you're saying is if you're showered, a lot of the water goes to waste.
Yeah,
If you go in the bath
yeah, a
or in a
lot.
shower, a lot of it goes on, it
Yeah.
misses you, really. And that's what's happened here. A lot of it is missing him, is loads of it, loads and loads and loads. And he can only benefits from a little bit. And the other thing with showered is that it's coming down from above, isn't it? If you're washing your hands in the sink or in a basin because you've been to the
Yeah,
toilet or something, it's below,
yeah,
it's down below, isn't it? The water. But here it's coming
yeah.
down from above, which is sort of which what the emperor would do. He's a bit like God, isn't he? He comes down from heaven and
Hmm.
drops things on you, sort of a thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
It's very good description, I think. It's very appropriate. Apposite, I was going to say. That's a bit tricky. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, there was another.
Have you ever have you ever used like this describing yeah or no
In
in in
everyday
in
life, not
in
really.
everyday life?
No.
Not
In every
really.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. I noticed that when we were saying the word innermost, I think you had
Um,
it. Did you want to say it a couple more times because you weren't quite sure?
yeah.
It's not a very common word though. We don't say it very often. So innermost, innermost.
Innermost.
Yeah.
Innermost.
Yeah. Spot on. Your first one was absolutely spot on. If you're talking about secrets, your most private secrets that you perhaps don't tell anybody, they're your innermost secrets, the secrets you tell nobody, that sort of thing. Your
Mm.
secret fantasies, your
It
secret
is it
desires.
is like a deep secret. Yeah.
Yeah, your
Very deep
deepest.
secret.
That's it. Yeah, yeah,
Deepest, yeah, the
that's it.
deepest secret.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But again, we don't, this particular word, I guess we use it in writing more, but in everyday speech, it doesn't get a great deal of use, I would say. I mean, it might do, I suppose. Maybe, so these two words here, your drawing was good, I thought, but you were a little bit uncertain on this one. So this
Um,
is sketching, sketching. I'm just,
sketching,
yeah, sketching.
sketching
Let's get that. Yeah,
of drawing or sketching.
yeah, that's it.
But
So, do you know the meaning of
mm,
the word? Are you okay with the meaning?
no, sketching, I forgot.
So,
Drawing, I understand, but
mm,
sketching, no.
well, really, these words have pretty much the same meaning, same meaning. But if you're sketching, it's a little bit more. Um, there's less detail in sketching, I suppose. To my mind, anyway. With the drawing, you perhaps I'm drawing a picture of a flower. I'm drawing a picture of a
Mhm.
flower. It'd be much more detailed in a drawing, I think. But in a sketch, it's a bit more of an outline, a bit rougher, not
Mm,
quite so accurate. It's
mhm.
first attempt,
Like
maybe. Yeah.
like informal paper, yeah, which which is some project, yeah, of some building. Yeah, we
Yeah, a drawing.
can.
Oh, here we go. It says, I've just brought up the dictionary. It says a rough or unfinished drawing or painting.
Ah,
So it's unfinished.
ah,
So you might have used a pencil, whereas with a drawing, you may have used colored pencils. But with a sketch, it's just just a simple ordinary pencil. A simple ordinary pencil you may have used. So it's not as detailed and a bit vague. Often when an artist goes out, he starts off with a sketch. He starts off sketching, and then
mhm.
when he goes back home, he completes it and makes a proper drawing. So he gets his ideas while he was sketching, makes notes, and the proper drawing
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
final
okay,
piece,
okay.
maybe something like
It
that.
is just, yeah, just a preparation. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
say like
yeah.
this,
That's
getting
it. A
like
lot
a
of it.
prep.
That's it. Yeah, preparation. That's it. Yes. So
How scratches? It is a completely different words. Yeah, scratches,
it's a
scratches.
completely different
Yeah,
word. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
in meaning. But when you are sketching, you may make a scratching sound. So they might be connected in some ways. They might be indirectly
Ah,
connected.
s-
But there
okay,
probably is a
scratching.
connection, but
Yeah.
they mean completely different things in English anyway. But in
Yeah,
Latin, they may have a connection or something, or some other language they may do.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Maybe the word, I think it was fierce. I think you were pretty
Ah,
good on. So fierce.
fears,
Yeah,
fears,
yeah, fierce.
fears,
I think it comes from if
fear.
you have fear,
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's to do with that. But if something is fierce, it means it's quite intense in this sense. So we had this word a little while ago. So if a fire, if this wreckage of the car is burning, you might say the fire was very fierce. And if you say it's fierce, you mean the fire was very strong, the fire was very
Mm,
hot, you might say. But here they're saying guards, so the guards are very strong and look quite frightening, I suppose.
mhm.
That's the idea,
Yeah,
yeah.
but, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fear,
I'm
fear.
not quite, I think
Yeah.
it's related, but perhaps it isn't. Maybe I'm mistaken. The two words. Um, Maybe there's this word
Ah,
worth looking at here.
yeah.
So I can't remember. So this is bard, bard. So what
Bar.
bard? That's it. So if there's a metal bar on the ground, it's just one R. So that's it there, BAR. Does that make sense? But if your way is barred, if the route you're taking is barred with if it's RED on the end of it, that means you're being stopped in your path on your route, as if there was perhaps a metal bar blocking your way, like some sort of a
Uh,
barrier. Does that make sense?
uh, I don't understand little bit. You mean
Uh,
like a barrier?
yes, like a
Bar?
barrier. Yeah, like a barrier.
Ah, like
That's
a
it. Yes,
barrier.
like a barrier. Yeah. So I just playing, not playing, but I was comparing it with the word bar.
Ah, yes.
So with the
Okay,
word
bar.
bar, that could be a metal bar. Perhaps I don't know. Trying to think. If you've done any building work, there's lots of metal
Yeah.
bars on a building site, aren't there? Sometimes called
Ah,
scaffolding pole.
yes,
You might call that a
scaffold.
bar of metal. It's hollow. It's a big
Yeah,
tube.
yeah. Okay, and the uh, people hold this, yeah, or the people use
Work with
it.
it.
Uh,
Say
uh,
again.
You know what I think is that you described me about when enters and there is some stairs, yeah, and people who are older need help themselves by some bar, to get
Yes.
to the stairs.
Yeah.
That's what you mean, yeah?
Um, it's not, it could be. Yes, it could be. That's one possibility. So you might call that a handrail, rail, or a
Yeah,
handhold, maybe,
hand hole, yeah.
or
But
handrail, perhaps.
it is little bit connected with the bar, yeah?
Yeah, you
Or
could also call
no?
it a bar, or hold on to the
Ah,
bar, you might say to an old
ah,
lady when she's getting out of a chair or something. That's right,
hmm,
to the bath, perhaps.
hmm. Yeah, okay,
So this is the
okay.
word scaffold. So
Scaffold,
a scaffold was a raised platform on which criminals, oh, that's a very old use of the word. We don't use that word anymore. But let's look at this one here. So a scaffold is a temporary raised platform on which workers stand to paint, repair, or build high parts of a building. So it's
yeah,
that metal
yeah.
frame
I,
on the outside of a
I
building
got
that
it.
make
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But in olden days, when people used to be executed, 100 years ago, 200 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
they used to put them on a scaffold, at the top of a scaffold, so everybody could see, and they might be hung till they died because they were criminals or something, or they have their heads
Uh,
cut off, possibly. We don't do that anymore,
mm.
not in public anyway.
Yeah, but I know that some country have very serious punishment
Yes.
for people. Yeah, they
Mm.
can cut off their hands or
Yes. Yeah.
kill
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think if you steal
Yes,
property or
kill.
something,
Yeah.
and I think it has to be something like it has to be like more than once. I think, and it depends on where
Ah,
it is. And
more
they
than
then sort
once.
of say,
Yeah.
"Well, you're not stopping. We're going to cut your left
Yeah.
hand off, not your right hand." I think.
Mm,
Well, I don't know. I mean, which is still
okay.
very severe, but
Hmm.
there we go. Yes. Anything else you want to ask about this little bit here?
Let me see. Hmm. How about my pronunciation of laughed? He only laughed at me, yeah?
The last one you said wasn't quite right, but previously you had it spot on, so I would say. So
Ah,
laughed, laughed.
laughed.
Yeah.
Okay, laughed.
So if I just write them both out here, maybe, if I can spell it correctly, Laugh. So that's without the ed. If I put the ed on the end now,
Mm,
Laughe. Oh, ed. My spelling's awful. So if I say both of them, so laugh, laugh, and
laugh,
laughed, laughed.
laughed,
That's it. That's it.
laughed.
Okay. So
You
once
know
again,
what?
maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I can be confused with when I see the ed and the end. Yeah, I think that I need do sound like ed,
Yeah.
laughed it, but it
Laughed.
is
Yeah. You're not the
laughed,
only one.
laughed.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's a lot
laughed.
of people trip up over this. It is tricky. So with the ed ending, there's it. I think I've said this before. It boils down to there's about three different sounds. It boils down
Yeah,
to, and
yeah,
it's three
I
different sounds.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
T, D,
yeah.
and
TD,
yeah,
just T,
or D, or the
yeah,
other one.
and T.
ED, isn't it? Oh, I forgot what I don't know what the last bar. D. Yeah, so I don't know what they are, but there is three of them. tricky. Whoops.
Yeah.
You sound a bit tired. Have you had a long day today?
Oh, yeah. I stuck at traffic. Yeah, at the end of my working day. Yeah, and that's why I was late.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Did you say traffic? Did you say so? Cars,
Yeah,
traffic?
yeah, I stuck in a traffic jam. Yeah, can I say like
Oh,
this?
so
Yeah,
you.
and
Hmm,
it was my last job for today. And
hmm,
you know what? People coming from work at home, and it was road was crowded,
hmm.
and yeah,
The roads were crowded. Yes.
yeah, road was crowded, and that's why I had to, yeah, to wait I had to be in a traffic. Yeah, sorry.
So
I'm
where are
confusing
you?
you. Yeah, and now I'm at home. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was late
Hmm.
around half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for giving me notice. Thanks for that. That's good.
yeah. Thank you, that you waited for me.
Well,
Yeah,
that's okay. That's
mm,
no problem. Okay.
yeah.
So if I stop the class bit here.